On Counselor University. My name once again is Emene Fayi, and I'm the Vice Chancellor of Counselor University. Today we're going to be talking about how you handle unplanned but urgent issues that can knock your business out of place. Now, today's parable is driven by an experience that my wife had a few weeks back. So my wife runs a school, and in her school she has some of her workers that she recently employed. And a few weeks back, after she had finished paying her staff their salary, the next day one of the teachers didn't show up. Within 2 hours, she got another call that the second teacher said that she was not going to come to work. Within a few minutes again, the third staff called that she was not going to come to work. And in the space of about 2 hours, 3 of her staff suddenly said that they are no longer going to show up for work. And she was confused, and she didn't know how to handle such a crisis that suddenly arose out of nowhere. Now, in business, you'll be facing certain crises similar to this. So when she was facing with such a crisis, she came to the wise counselor. She came to me and said, "Ifeanyi, you've been helping other people handle their business challenges. What do I need to do in this scenario?" So I sat her down, and some of the things I'm going to be sharing with you today are the things that I shared with her. Because if you've read the Bible, you understand the story of Samson and the hall that the Philistines took him into. They said that Samson was taken into a hall of the Philistine, and this hall was supported by 2 pillars. And he asked the young boy leading him to help him hold the 2 pillars that were supporting this massive structure. And the moment he laid his hand on these 2 pillars, he pushed them, and the whole building collapsed, and in an instant, thousands of Philistines were killed. Now you might be saying, how does this relate to my business? Well, for every business, it's more like a building. And when those who are planning the building don't understand that there are certain structures that must be in place, or how to place certain structures, when they don't place these structures in place in the right way and in the right spacing, a little crisis will knock that structure out of existence and collapse the building. The same way to your own business. There are certain plans that you must make. There are certain scenarios you would have asked yourself, what if this thing happens? What will I do? If you've not done a scenario planning analysis and say, okay, in case this thing happens in my business, these are the things I need to do to counteract them. Some of those things that you fail to ask yourself, what if this thing happens? One day, most likely, they might happen. And because you have not asked yourself, what if this thing happens? What will be the reaction of my business to such thing coming up? Then if you don't put those plans in place, and when these things come up, they can knock your business out of place. So we'll be looking at some of those things, some of which you might not have considered up to this moment. But I want you as a business owner to look at some of them. We'll point out and discuss some of them. And as we are discussing them, also at the end of this lecture, I want you to sit down and ask yourself, what are the ways I can actually help my business to avoid some of these crises if they come? So the first question I want to ask you is, what happens to your business if your best staff fails to show up? If your best staff suddenly send you a resignation letter that we're no longer working for you, what happens? I've just shared with you the instance of my wife, how 2 of our staff woke up and just decided that they're no longer working for her. It means that as a business owner, you must be on top of your game in such that every aspect of your business, you must be able to run it. Now, because my wife already knows how to handle a class, what she did was she merged 2 classes together and started to run them on her own, pending when we were able to get a replacement teacher for her. The same to ask, should also a question you should ask yourself. If my best staff suddenly wake up and decide not to work for me anymore, do I have systems in place? Can I have a way of adjusting the current staff I have to make up for those who suddenly are no longer working for us? You must understand how to fit in staff that suddenly will not work up. So which means if you have a system that currently has about 10 staffs, you need to already have built a scenario whereby if 5 suddenly decide not to come to work anymore, that the 5 that are coming to work can actually, if on a temporary basis, fit into the space that those who are not coming have created in your system. The next one is, what if your best staff, best customer suddenly walks away? You know, a few years back, one day I woke up and I realized that 80%, about 70% of our revenue were coming from about 1 or 2 customers. And I asked myself, what will happen if these 2 customers suddenly woke up and decided they were no longer doing business with us? The moment that realization hit me, one of the first things I started to do was actively start to look for newer customers, newer, better customers. And as if I knew what was about to happen, one day, one of those 2 customers woke up and decided to stop their business relationship with us. But because I was expecting such a thing and I had planned for it, the hit that would have come to us if we did not make such plan was not as severe as it would have happened. So my question to you is, assuming your best customers suddenly wake up and walk away, can your business survive? How many pillars of customers are currently supporting your business? One of the worst things you can do is for about 2 or 5 or 10 customers to be supporting your business. You need to have such a massive structure that even if your business loses 2 or 5 customers, it can still survive. A lot of people have 1 or 2 wonderful customers that, yes, these are very good customers that they have, but they fail to ask themselves, what if these customers suddenly stop doing business with us? If your best customers walk away, what will happen? You must have a plan for that, which means if the pillars supporting your business are about 2 or 3 or 4 customers, it means you have a structure, a massive structure, but it's a structure like the Philistine has built. Meaning that anything that rocks these 2 or 3 customers and knocks them out of business, you are completely out of business. It means as the owner of the business, you too must be the massive chief marketing officer of your business. It also means that your eyes must constantly be on the number of good customers that you have. That at any particular point, you must ensure that you have at least 10 to 20 very good customers, such that if you lose about 5 or 10, your business, though it might be shaking, but your business will not collapse. But if your business is such a way that 80% of your revenue is coming from about 3 to 5 customers, I can tell you that you don't have a structure like the one that Samson had, like the one the Philistine has, so that anything that happens to these few solid customers will knock you out of business. But you might say, okay, I have enough structured, enough customers to support my business. But then what if one day you wake up and your landlord asks you to get out of where you're currently residing? What if you come to business to your office one day and suddenly the new owner of your building has pushed you out? Do you have any system in place that can ensure that if you have any issue, any challenge with your place of operation, there's certain ways that your business will continue operating until you get a better place to continue running the business from? Digitalizing your business is something that you must start to do currently. Don't say that, yes, my landlord, I have a wonderful relation with my landlord. See that anything can happen to the structure where your business is located at. And you don't want what if anything happens to it for you to be knocked out. So, start to build your online presence, so that if anything happens to your brick and mortar business, you are not knocked out of business. You need to have online presence and online structures that can keep you in place, so that if anything happens, your customer can still continue doing business with you. That is the plan B. And also, if you are staying in a rented place, start to make arrangements to have your own real estate. Because anything can happen. The owner of the business, the structure can sell it. Or the owner of the structure can actually get a better offer from somebody and decide to kick you out. A few months back, one of my clients said that the landlord, somebody approached his landlord and said, see, how much is this guy paying you? I'm willing to double the rent. And based on that, the landlord had issued him a quit notice. if something like that happened to your business, do you have a system that can help you adjust to the loss of your current place of business? It means that you have a business that is running from one branch. It's better for you and safer for you to start to look for a second branch, such that if something happens to one of them, you are not completely knocked off. And also have an online presence. The other one is what if your products are defective? So a few years back, I was discussing with a man that was very successful. So I was asking people, what happened to this man? He used to be a very, very successful man. And they said yes, that one day he placed an order for a new product. The Chinese people had sent him the samples, and it were wonderful samples and wonderful designs, and he placed his order. Unfortunately, the orders were placed in a faulty container. And between the point of loading and the container getting to his place, rain damaged what was inside the container and he lost everything. The same thing also you need to ask yourself. What if something happens to my business and all my goods are damaged? Can I still stay in business? What are the insurance policies that I need to take out just in case something happens to my goods in transit? What if fire suddenly comes and hits my place of business? Do I have the necessary insurance in place? Do I have the necessary relationship in place that if something happens that I lose all my goods, do I have the relationship and network that can help me generate enough revenue to actually restart my business all over again? These are questions you need to ask yourself as you're in business. No matter how successful your business currently is, no matter how wonderful your business currently is, you must actually be planning for it. A few weeks back, we had the NSAS crisis across Nigeria, and one of my friends' business was vandalized, and he lost hundreds of millions of naira. Unfortunately for him, this thing happened in October, but his insurance policy expired in September. So what are the policies that you actually need to start to look into to review, such that if anything happens, you are actually not completely knocked out? And you have systems and structures in place such that if this thing happens to your business and your products are knocked out, at least you have a system in place that can continue to sustain you until you rebuild your product base. The other one is something that recently happened to one of my clients. Late last year, so this one of our big clients usually imports his goods from Benin Republic. So the ship bars at Cotonou port, he loads them on trucks, brings them through the land border to Nigeria, and then takes them to his warehouses. Unfortunately for him, he had just received over 50 containers, loaded them on the truck, and the very night they were supposed to cross over to Nigeria was the night that the blocking of the Nigerian border was placed by the Nigerian government. And suddenly, this man had over 50 containers loaded on trucks, and these are perishable products and he can't get them across. You need to ask yourself, what are the government policies that can knock me out of business? I remember a few years back, in one of the states, the government came to one of the major markets and asked everybody to relocate, and gave him a space of 2 weeks. And within that 2 weeks, the government rolled out their bulldozers and started to demolish shops. So you need to ask yourself, what are the policies of the government that can knock me out of business? Because if you don't know these policies, and when they start to take effect and they start to hit your business, you can wake up one day and realize that you don't have any business anymore. So it's important for you not to just wake up, go to your business and close in the evening. You must ask yourself, what are the policies guiding this industry that I'm operating in? For instance, if you're operating in the pharmaceutical space, you need to understand that the government policy restricts the number of people that can operate certain kinds of businesses in that space. You also need to understand that certain licenses are a must for you to operate certain kinds of business, which means you might have been running this business and not know that these licenses are needed in that particular space. And one day something will just come and say, do you have this license? No, shut down. So it's important for you to know the relevant government policies that can knock you out, and also the relevant government policies that are already in existence that you are not even aware that are in place to boost your business. You know, there are a few months back, an American that I was discussing with asked me, do you know about this American government policy for Africa? I said no. He sent me the link, and when I went through it, I saw that without even knowing that the American government had certain policies for African businesses. The same way too, the government of Nigeria also had certain policies set in place to encourage certain industries. For instance, there is that any foreign company doing any business must have at least 5% local content. So, and you might be operating an industry that has that local content policy guiding it, which means there's a space for you. But because you don't know these relevant policies, you might not be benefiting from it. The other one is, what if something happens to you? So, a few days back, a young man was informed that his goods had arrived, that he needed to come to where the goods was being offloaded. So he jumped on a bike, and as he was rushing to the location of where they were offloading his goods, the bike was hit by a bus, and he broke his legs. Do you have anything in place such that if you become incapacitated for whatever reason, it ensures that your business continues running even without you? Yesterday I was reading about the founder of National Cash Register, and about how he started. Said one day he was in a beach and he saw a very successful man who was just relaxing. I asked this man, how come you can be here and you're not in your business and the business is running? He said, because I have, and you are not scared that your people will be stealing your money. He said, well, I'm sure that they can't steal my money because I've put in place cash registers across all my business. This was happening in the 1920s. And I said, so if you have this and you have structures, your business can actually run without you. Say yes. The same way too, you need to ask yourself, what systems, what structures do I need to put in place such that my business doesn't need to rely on me? Even if I'm not there, my business can continue running. Even if I'm incapacitated, my business can continue running. You know, we run a lot of interviews at my place, and one of the things I've stopped doing is to run all the interviews myself. Because knowing this, I need to ensure that my people can run the interviews without me being there. So that if for any reason I'm not around, my business is not stalled because they can continue running the operations of Counseling University. You also need to look at your structure and step back a bit. You know, I see a lot of business owners, they are involved in every part of their business, and their workers can't take any decision without them making an input. It means that if anything happens to such business owners, the business shuts down because they are the thinking organ of their business. Don't build your business around you. Put systems and structures in place so that whenever you are not there, your business will continue to run, continue to operate successfully. In conclusion, a lot of us expect our businesses to run in a straight line. We expect that every day we wake up, things will run smoothly. But business doesn't always run that way. There are certain times you wake up one day, you come to your business, you're expecting it to run smoothly, but it starts to run in circles. Those days are part of the conventional way of running a business. For every business, no matter how structured the business is, no matter how organized it is, there are days that you are going smoothly and suddenly everything seems to nosedive and go up again and nosedive. What you must do as an individual is to mentally prepare yourself for those days of going in circle. Those days you wake up and you feel that you have put everything in place for your business to run smoothly and everything is going in circle. Those days, just like my wife, she woke up expecting her teachers to come and take all the classes, and she wakes up and finds herself running 2 classes on the same day and also making allowances for the other support staff that was not there. Building mental resilience to handle the unexpected are what you must train yourself for. You must daily look at your business and say, yes, today I expect things to run smoothly for me, but also if anything goes out of place, I'm also mentally prepared to step in and handle it. It's important for you to understand that things can knock you out of business, things can go wrong in your business, that you must not, because things are going out of line, out of place, suddenly you get anxious, get agitated, and lose focus. Staying focused in the midst of the unexpected happening, it what differentiates the successful business from those that crash. So, I know that things might be happening that you didn't expect, but it's part of business, so expect it and things will work out. So if you also feel that you need some of our advice, you need our help in helping your business grow, you can reach out to us on 080-2362-2171 or follow us on any of our social media handles at Counselor University, and we are always there to teach African business owners how to make their businesses profitable and sustainable, and also create job opportunities for young Nigerian graduates who are seeking for a place to earn a living from working a meaningful job. Thank you for listening to us, and we'll be back on Thursday.